Hi, everybody. We have the OWLiNG band here straight from LA. Um, Thank you for coming here and doing the interview with us. The name, the OWLiNG, is very unique, I would say. Not every band out there has, everybody goes with something death and boom and giving you genre. It's very unique. How did you come up with that?
As anybody knows, when it comes to naming something, it is not an easy task. I would say that I kept a note for band names for a really long time. Just like any time that I thought of things. And originally, the band started out with me and my old bass player from previous bands. So we would like write stuff in the notes and then like kind of like just cross out names like, no, that's terrible, that's terrible. And just thinking about like how many bands are there, right? Like they say that there's like 100,000 songs uploaded every day to streaming, so you can imagine like it's just crazy. So when it came to this project, I really would say it landed with the lowest common denominator between me and the original other member, which was that we both really liked owls. And we were trying to find something derivative with the word owl that made sense. And it was really out of a conversation. The best that I was able to come up with, I was trying to like do some kind of action word. So I thought of dive owl because if you ever see like a owl dive in like slow motion, I mean they're just like incredible. And that was really impressive. So I was like, dive owl, that's kind of cool. And he's like, no, that's stupid. And then we just kept going back. And then one day we just were like, the owl, and we just said it. And immediately when we said it, we felt good about it. And of course, we went on to search and to see if there was another band named that or anything else. And we did the deep dive. And it seems to be that there is no band called the OWLiNG except for us. We got to get the domain, like all that other stuff, which is important. And then it also kind of lends itself to a little bit of a horror kind of vibe, which I like. I like spooky, kind of like that kind of thing, but not directly. So it's like a lot of times when I tell people the band name, they kind of get it now the way I say it, the owling. But I used to be like, oh, it's the owling. It's like the howling without the H. And that's how I would describe it to people.
I was like, what kind of horror movies, inspired the name and the idea of the band too?
Well, I think we have what?
Nah,
Do you have this? Okay.
no, I didn't name the band, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
the Hitchcock name, Birds.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of old stuff. You know, I come from a family of watching horror movies. It's a family affair. My dad would show me and my little sister like horror movies when we were kids, and that those were our family movies. So when it came to the band, and we'll kind of like probably talk about this a little bit more, but when it came to the band, just having that authenticity of nothing other than exactly what it is. I think that the the prime one of the primary structures of it was something to create music that is a little bit more cinematic, but then doesn't lend itself to completely being a score. I love movie scores, very much so, especially like old movie scores. So having something that is representative of that, kind of it kind of lined up. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
I I I think it's very unique, and your sound is definitely something I haven't heard in a while, and it's crazy. So, if you would go to the day zero sonic identity, what would be, I don't know, a sound, or maybe there was a starter session that you had that kind of defined the sound DNA of your project?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, Art and I have been playing music our whole life. We're in our mid 40s and we've been playing. in band, is that like Sprite? It's like fuck, right? We've been playing music for like 30 years or over 30 years, you know. I've been playing on stages off and on since 1993 or 1994. So it's I have a very big respect for music, and I I think that I didn't want to start up a new project until I really saw something that would be able to contribute to the space. As I mentioned, there's just so much stuff. And honestly, if you stopped putting out music right now, I actually have enough to listen to that would keep me entertained for the rest of my life. More than enough. And that's actually probably if you stopped it in 2003, I'd probably have enough, let alone everything that came out afterwards, which I'm all about new stuff as well. But I didn't want to start something that really didn't contribute to the space. And I had our old bass player trying to do a project with me for 10 years, and he would be on my case about it. Like, hey, you ready? Let's do it. You ready? You ready? Let's do it. And then just after 10 years, it just came to me, and it came to me when the Dio documentary came out, actually. So it was between the Dio documentary and very heavily listening to the band Monolord that I thought of this idea of mixing that, like having that doom kind of energy, that stoner metal kind of doom thing, but more in a way that's theatrical and poetic as, and kind of a little fantasy as Dio. And originally it was supposed to have those types of vocals as well. Um, but that was really it. That was the epiphany. And then it was really breaking out of the song structure of like guitar written music. I don't write anything on the guitar. Everything is written as melody that's coming from my mouth. And once I was able to transition into that, that's where it aligned with something cinematic, because the way I think about uh carrying a melody, I think about it more in the sense of a movie, like and how a score plays out. And then what I do is then translate that into guitar. And that was really it. But the thing is that's the mission, but that wasn't like everything that we thought of along the way, like, does it align with that? It just happened to fall into place, and it is what it is right now. But that was the grand thing with the band, and I just felt like, okay, well, I don't hear many people doing this. I haven't heard this yet, and I kind of want to hear it. And it just seems like something that would be fun to play. And it's as simple as that.
Well, it definitely sounds like something fun and that something anybody has done in a while, like I said. So it's an interesting perspective that you're putting out there. So you mentioned you've been doing music for more than 30 years. That's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been like I've never stopped being a musician, and probably, yeah, Art, you as well.
No,
Pre-
never stopped.
Yeah, I never stopped being a musician. I haven't been in bands the entire time. But I never had a guitar not reachable. I never had, yeah. And then I've been writing poetry ever since I can remember. So those two things have been a consistent throughout the whole time. And then of course we have collectively we've played in a lot of bands, done a lot of projects. um I've done quite a bit of touring, and and recording, of course. We both have done quite a bit of recording, and yeah, yeah, it's funny because I don't feel like I feel like this is a beginning for me, even though it's at this juncture of my life. It feels like an awakening, which really aligns to the owling in the sense of just the theme of it and why it's the OWLiNG, because it feels like it's an event. It's a noun, as well as it's something that's taking place. It's like it's a movement, and that's how it represents to me. So I come into this with a fresh perspective, and it's nice. I get to feel I wouldn't say young again, but I get to feel youthful in the path of being a musician. And I haven't felt youthful in the path of being a musician probably since I was a teenager.
Wow, there must be a very interesting and long career of being a musician for both of you. And well, you guys came together in 2022. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the band originally formed in late 2022 in San Francisco.
Mhm.
Uh, Art and I have been playing together for about a year and a half. Uh, it's gone through many different not many, but several different iterations and forms. Like I said, it was
Just two in the last year.
ye-
We had a totally different singer.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I just took over lead vocals a year and what, year and 4 months ago, something like that. So that wasn't even a thing. So even though I was writing everything, writing all the vocal treatments and stuff, I wasn't the original singer. It wasn't that's not how I ended up landing. And then just as things went on, we just we were just listening to what the moment called for. But this was never the plan. It was never supposed to be a duo. That wasn't like, oh, let's do it as a two-piece. That really wasn't it. It was just circumstances that led us here.
Well, do you think this is the ideal form of the band as it should be?
100%. I couldn't be more sure about that. And mainly because I don't think we would sound the same. I don't think we would be the same. I don't think we would be as special if it was more members. I think part of what makes us unique to the scene and unique to the space is that two people are doing this, with no extra musicians live, no tracks, and and I think that is that's the part that sets it apart. And if you think, because we will, like, if you think like, oh well, we should have a bass player, and it's like, well, just listen to it. Does it sound like it's missing anything? Like Art joked around once saying like maybe we should get an emotional support mannequin up there on stage, wearing a bass just to appease people so they feel that way. But the thing is anybody, when they hear us, the first thing is just like, they're like, how are you guys making so much sound? And it's the way that we play. The way that I play guitar in this band, I would never play that way in a traditional lineup, and I don't think Art would either. Like
Probably not.
yeah, we're more filling up the space. We keep very busy when we play. So
Mhm.
we do, we keep very busy. But if you go even from our first show, like there was just like a what the hell? How was that just two people from everybody that was there? Like, and uh, that's pretty rad. I like that.
I would love to come see you playing sometime all the way from Miami to LA.
Yeah, wait, you're in Miami?
I am, yeah.
Cool. Well, I was born and raised on Miami Beach.
Oh, nice. I mean, you guys have way more artists in LA than we have here in Miami. And that's why I'm asking for the shows. Not many artists come here from the alternative scene, especially the doom metal.
Yeah.
Uh, it's
Yeah, I would.
crazy.
Yeah, like that's, um I know some really good doom bands in like Atlanta, and they would be down. to play shows with us. So, maybe you never know. Maybe like little Atlanta, Jacksonville, Miami kind of thing.
And that would be sick. Well, last time we had a obituary band and the castrator in December, but that's about it. Sorry, I got my t-shirt.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. It's interesting because we have a new EP that's going to come out at the end of the month, and
Right.
the logo. I sent you a rough copy, a rough version of it.
I
Um,
listened to it, yeah.
the logo that was painted,
Mhm.
it reminds like it's our logo, but it reminds the first thing I thought of was like this kind of looks like obituary in the
It
scratch
is.
in the scratchiness of it. That's what I thought about.
I do have many more questions about your debut album, but also you mentioned that there are talks about you probably supporting another band, which is why I wanted to ask you, what would be who would be the ideal artist you would want to open for if let's say you go on tour with them or if there's a festival?
Yeah. Go ahead. Who would say ideal?
Yeah, I don't know if
Ideal?
I have that name.
I wouldn't
Ideal
say ideal, just
or
anybody.
realistic? Or realistic? Like, like it's like
Ideal.
ideal.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
okay,
Uh,
maybe somebody you want to open for or work with.
it's funny because, Art and I went to go see The Sword play, and one of the opening bands was Pink Fuzz, and we were like super freaking taken by them when we saw them play. And I told Art, I'm like, we got to open up for them. And it just happened. We ended up, playing at South by Southwest at this festival called Fiesta Destructo, and we actually played back to back with them. And we like I've connected with them and we've become acquaintances and stuff. But it's a beautiful thing. So that was one that was on our list that we checked off.
I think
Oh,
if you go,
nice.
I could see like I just saw A Perfect Circle is
Uh,
out on tour. That would be a
sure.
band that's like
Yeah.
really big. Lots of people would see it.
Yeah.
If you're going for like Pie in the Sky, playing huge venues,
Yeah.
opening up for Perfect Circle.
Yeah,
That would be
Perfect Circle is sick, yeah.
that would
I
be
mean,
amazing. I think I would just tick off Mr. Bungle, Primus, Melvins. Those would probably be the pie in the sky kind of thing. Even though I've literally seen bands that are of the same tier as us open up for both Melvins and Mr. Bungle. So who knows? I mean, that would be amazing.
well, you can probably open up for aesthetic perfection.
You know,
Or
I don't know if like I don't
I
know if
know the
the
sound is
music,
different.
yeah, it's so much different. But I'll see. That's that would be cool. But I think it's when you think about a lineup, you want everything to kind of complement
Mhm.
itself. And what is in the best interest of the people attending as well. I mean that I think that would be
That's
cool
true.
for that'd be cool for like a festival, right?
Mhm.
It'd be a festival where it was just mixing and it was just like different types of metal. Then I would say, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, we have Rockville coming up next month. There's Aftershock and
Yeah,
Louder Than Life.
yeah. I have friends playing. I think I have friends playing at least one of those, which is cool. Yeah.
That's sick. Let's talk about your album, Young Bow You Will Learn, that was released in 2025.
Yep. Yeah.
The
Right at the end.
album, right at the end, was it September?
It was December. December.
December.
Yeah.
Well, the album it has this Hollywood metal film atmosphere. When you were, composing the album, were you visualizing anything specifically, or maybe it was an environment you were in that helped you produce the album?
Um, we have a decent size library. I
Mhm.
think selecting the songs on the album is very purposeful. It's I'm very proud of the album in a sense of as a complete package. And I think that that was number one. There's a lot of albums that I see come out, especially from bands like at our tier, that it's just more like a playlist of songs. And that's cool, but I'm a little bit old school. I come from like thinking about like not necessarily like a theme album, but like thinking about like Pink Floyd or the Beatles, and I wanted it to just feel like it flowed, but then it also the songs connected topic wise, you know?
Mhm.
And originally Speaking Stops was supposed to be the last song, and we recorded the last lines a little bit different as well to kind of go with that, and we ended up changing it. And but energy wise and topic wise, I think was very, very important. You don't bow, you will learn was actually added in at the 11th hour, and then it became the title track. Like it was a pretty newish song that we started playing, and then I asked Art, I'm like, because we rehearsed a lot before going into the studio, and I asked Art, I'm like, do you think we can push to put this song on there? I really have a good feeling about it. And we took the chance and did it. And I think it came out great and ended up being the title of the album. It's really stoked about that.
Yeah, I think even
It
in
is a great name for the album. I
Oh,
love it.
thank
I think even in the sessions, because we kind of did it in two parts. We recorded half the songs, waited a little bit, did the other half. And I think we were even looking at it as like, if we have time, we'll do that song. I
Yeah.
don't even think it was, I think it was the last song we did, if I remember correctly. Or we kind of crammed it in. We were like feeling good and we are like, yeah, let's just like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
knock it out. So yeah,
Yeah.
last minute.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the energy of it, there's it's the other thing about it is that we recorded most of it live, and and we kind of had just kind of put a lot of limits on it. We recorded it at Jeff Friedel's studio, Secret Hand, which Jeff Friedel is the drummer for Devo, and it's a awesome studio. We spent several days there for the singles and for the album, and it's yeah, like what you hear is what is in that room. It's authentic. Like I listened to it back and I hear little mistakes. Not everything was meticulously like produced. It's very that's what if you have the right sound guy, that is what we sound like live, but it's not live, if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
And people don't do that anymore. Again, you got two people, all these pieces, like there's so many things you can do that would be ideally right. Okay. Have a click track, record things on a metronome, you know, have extra players. When you play a solo, have a backing track for the regular rhythm of the solo. We did none of those things. We didn't, it wasn't, and it's not because we couldn't, it's because we chose not to do that. Because when you do that, if we did that, it wouldn't be us. If we did that, all of a sudden it's not the OWLiNG anymore. Like the OWLiNG, like if it's not us, it's not it, right? Like we can have, maybe like if Art gets sick and we have like a big show, we can have like a temporary thing. But in regards to like writing the music, it would be something completely different if it wasn't us. So everything is very purposeful, but then also up in the air to have it naturally make its own mistakes, as life.
Mhm. It's important to stay authentic to your own style, producing or anything, to be honest. Um, and I can clearly, well, I know there's a lot of 90s alternative metal in your work. Well, given that it's 90s and but your music is very modern too, how do you honor the foundations of the 90s music without, diving too deep into the nostalgia when you make your albums or EPs?
What do you think?
Um, I think like at least on the drums, there's definitely a lot of my influences are going to come out of the 90s. I was a teenager just buying every album I could and reading magazines about, Tim Alexander from Primus and all of that. But I also, through some teachers I've had, got really into, prog rock and things like Frank Zappa, The Police, like more odd drummers. And I think it plays into the kind of instrumentation that Cal's looking for, like the orchestral cinematic side of it. So I guess I'm always trying to lean into more of that than like a Dave Grohl or a Matt Cameron or even contemporary stuff like Danny Carey. I'm not very good at double bass pedal and stuff like that anyway, so it's good for me to like find the other direction to go. But I think that definitely helps. Uh what song was it? Oh, it's not out yet. One of the songs I got stuck on the drum part, and it was "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins that like inspired me to figure out what I was going to do. And it's not copied, but that's like kind of a way to avoid falling into a trap of sounding like you're just regurgitating something, is like having more broad influences and trying to think the other direction from maybe the first thing that pops into your head.
Yeah. I also I take the path of inspiration and influence um from a perspective of a life without the internet. Uh when when I'm inspired by something or I'm influenced by something, it's not because of something that I researched or looked up.
Mhm.
And I'm very strict on that. So I just really just recall things from memory and as I would have back in the 90s. So it's not just an influence of the 90s music, but it's an influence on how things were done in the 90s. Again, talking about how the recordings were done. You won't find like many recordings done, professional recordings done nowadays that are not done to a click, so that you can edit things later and all that stuff. Like you won't find people that aren't like, maybe using AI. The only tool that I ever use to write music is a thesaurus. That's it. Like if I get stuck on a word, I'm like, I remember in Sour Blossom, like I was trying to find a word for home that wasn't home and 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 looking at older words, and I was like in my mind, and then I used the thesaurus. I'm like, oh, a hold, like a stronghold, a hold. So the line is no hope brings the hold, meaning that you know the when you have at that moment where it's really dark, you realize where your home is. And I just didn't want, even though it's with an H, I just really didn't want to say the word home. So that's like the only, that's an example of like anytime I've looked to look it up. So it's both. It's bringing in, how it would have been done, and and just the natural influence of us during our most influential years, or just being just formative years, I guess, as teenagers and stuff, and what would have came natural. And it's awesome because like I we have this new album coming out, or actually, sorry, a new EP coming out, and and Jeff over at Secret Hand came in, and he was like, "Oh, this is like your cemetery gates, you know?" And that's what he said. He's like, oh, and this is like your Planet Caravan. And I was and I don't and those are like two major important songs to me. And I didn't even think about it. Look, and then I hear the song now and I'm like, oh, that is kind of Cemetery Gates-ish, but not doesn't sound like it. Again, it's like an energy kind of thing, you know? And it's more like, hey, this is just what's coming out per the influence of life versus I think now when people talk about inspiration and influence, it's more what they really mean is more look at what this is my research. This is what I figured out. I saw this you know, this drummer on YouTube or on Instagram, or I saw this person do this, and which is fine. That's fair because that can totally happen. But what I'm saying, the primary source is more doing it how it was done before.
Oh wow, I'm blown away by this answer because this is so real, and everybody is. I know, well, maybe not everybody. I'm definitely sick of all the AI and technology stuff. And things don't really feel as natural and authentic as they would back in the times, even 2000s. So that's a
Great.
really refreshing perspective from you.
Yeah. And it's just it's and I you know, we like I learn a lot. I allow myself to make mistakes. I mean, there's a slide in one of the tracks in the new EP where I didn't slide it on time, and I really love it. Like some of my favorite things in Kill 'Em All from Metallica or like Ride the Lightning or some of the mess ups. I just I love them, you know? Like even live, I remember going to hear bands and hearing little things, and I don't know, there's just something again like that's just my taste. That's just my taste. I want to hear it like that. I don't think art feels the same way about that. Just in regards to its natural setting. Of course, there's like,
Mostly.
yeah, there's more performative things that
Mhm.
make more sense to be, you know, perfect. But yeah, it's kind of fun. It brings its own energy and it brings its own character to it.
Your new EP, when is it coming out? And how would you compare this work to your previous works?
Yeah, so we haven't shared it yet. This will be the first time we're sharing it. I don't know when this is going to go live, but our new EP is called Intravenous Flow, and it is coming out April 24th. And it is, again, it took me to hear the recording to realize that it's very ballady. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it yet, but um, it's very much like it's very ballady. Like two of the original songs on it, which by the way, it will have two new songs, an acoustic version of Intravenous Flow as well. And I don't know if we're ready to say what cover we're doing.
Mhm.
Um, but if you've seen us live, you might have heard us play this song. And I'm really, really happy about that. It brings a big smile to my face.
The two originals, you only heard them if you went to Palmdale,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
You
I
only
think
played them one time.
yeah, and it's funny because they're two of the first five songs that was written for this project back in 2022. So between 2022 and 2024, um, yeah, that was it.
I really enjoyed the Hallowed song, number two.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
It's
Yeah,
more gloomy, moody style.
that was yeah, that was That's an old one, and it went through some iterations for sure. I mean, when that was probably one of the hardest comps to land with for two people. I think that was one of the hardest ones because it
Like the
really,
third or fourth arrangement, at least.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because it is definitely a song where, yeah, people are gonna be surprised that two people do it for sure, but it's like, I mean, at one point I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to get a looper, like I gotta figure this out. And we made it work. I mean, even in the studio, because there's a guitar solo in it, there's this whole like psychedelic part in it. There's originally uh when I wrote it, there was a bass player. So that original part in the intro was actually a duo with the bass and guitar. So I figured out how to do it with turning on and off the pedal. And so so that's all done like just me. And yeah, so there was a couple of tricky bits for Hollowed.
Oh, I love it. When it's released, I'm gonna add it to my Apple Music for sure.
Oh, awesome.
Uh, let's talk about your stage presence. You play a lot of shows, and for your visual output, how much of the Owlin identity is actually a reflection of your everyday life, your daily selves?
Um, I don't know. I don't know if art would have. Is there anything?
For me, I don't know. I guess sort of. I think, but like not in a maybe good answer kind of way. Like I, uh, after playing for a long time and also just kind of getting a lot of lessons and training, I try to play really efficiently and kind of effortlessly, even though it is hard for me to do some of the stuff. And I guess that is how I generally am, even if I'm not on stage. It's like trying to optimize and like do things the right way, as in like the way that's the most efficient way to do them. So it is a reflection, but I don't know. I don't have like a stage persona. I kind of go play drums and like I guess that's always how I've approached it. More from a I want to go and play the best I can, um, and be really kind of fluid and efficient with it. But I wouldn't say that I'm the most performative drummer that people will see.
Mhm. That's great. You know what? A lot of I mean, you have been playing for more than 30 years for a long time, and that became your identity, in my opinion. That's why it feels so natural. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I mean, I I love the contrast and the juxtaposition between us, and you know, honestly, I went through, well, to speak frank, went through so many auditions to find the right drummer for the project after moving from San Francisco over here because I had to start it all from scratch. Eh, and I mean, I played with literally some of the best drummers that are in LA. And it wasn't until I met Art that just from the get, and it wasn't that, I'm not a virtuoso musician. Art's not a virtuoso musician. Like
Yeah.
we're okay. Like we're professionals, but it's not this idealistic like perfect bubble thing. It's really just listening to what is right and just from the jump from the first rehearsal that we had, I don't know, it just clicked. And if I was like, oh my God. Like I remember immediately I thought like I hope this can be the thing. Like just
Mhm.
from the get-go, where even playing with anybody else, I was like, oh, this might work. And that's kind of like the feeling I had, oh, this might work. And um
And it did.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and then, well, that was with other people. Him, it was, I just knew it off the bat. Like, I don't know what the future is going to hold, but the path that we've had has been really good. Has been really good in chemistry, has been really, really good in musicianship and just vibe and energy. I mean, we've been in some of the shows that we've been playing lately, we've been dressing, we have like a kind of like I guess kind of like a uniform, like it's all black or all white, and then we have like special shirts that we made. And we've done this like just a couple times, and we'll do it for special shows, but like just if it makes sense, not for it to be like when it feels natural. I know for me the I'm way tamer on stage than I used to be before. Like so in the 90s, at the same time that my band was around, Limp Bizkit was around in Jacksonville, and people like we didn't know each other, but like fans would say, "Oh," because it would be like I would be like wearing dresses on stage and all types of different outfits, and it was, and Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit was dressing up on stage and stuff, and that was just like but we didn't know of each other, it was just like a just coincidence, and then the rest of the band was like totally like standard 90s, baggy pants or whatever, kind of thing. And and I and it was wild. It was very wild. I mean, there's some footage, but as you know, like what happened in the 90s stays in the 90s. But um yeah, my whole thing now is number one, I can't play without glasses. I can't see. So I can't see I can't see things. I guess if we played songs that I wasn't switching anything, I could play without glasses. So I have to keep it a little tame, or else my glasses would literally fall off my head. So that's one thing that I'm always thinking about. And then the other thing is I'm pulling double duty, and like I said, we keep very busy. So sometimes I'm like playing bass strings and treble strings at the same time, switching effects and singing. So there's not like there's only so much that we can do. Like we have built-in song like jams and songs, and it's like during those parts it's just guitar and drums that I feel a little bit more liberated to go around. But that again, it falls into this cinematic conductor type of vibe that that is the Owling. That's where I think it falls in line with the vibe of the band.
My next question actually was about of you moving from Bay Area to Hollywood and ask you about all the changes that happened with the move. I guess those would be one of the changes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, before leaving San Francisco, it was what was it? One, two, four of us. So it was, yeah, it was a vocalist, bassist, and drummer. And then yeah, so it was completely different. And that was again, this doing it as a two piece was not the plan. Yeah, and that so I um so that's a huge difference right there. But I think like, San Francisco is known like right now, like the scenes, like there's a lot of awesome stoner metal bands and doom metal bands. It's kind of like a big like punk bands, doom, stoner metal is kind of like that's San Francisco. Like that's the Bay Area. That's all that. It's really big over there. So that definitely was a big was an influence. And I'm really glad because coming down here, there really isn't that many people that do that. Like it's very I think a lot of people are still doing what was done in the 80s here with when it comes to music, we'll play on the Sunset Strip and it's like very like, oh wow, this didn't hasn't changed in 30 years, or 35 years.
Mhm.
So which I think is cool because I think differentiates us, you know, and it also gives some people something different to listen to, which I really didn't care in the project wasn't even like I wanted to do some shows, but originally I really didn't care to like I wanted to record everything and do some shows every now and then. And it's it's changed a little bit because and mostly because of the reaction. Like people listen to us. People enjoy it. People see like, you know, like you're saying, just something different, something that doesn't hasn't happened in a while. And it's really heartwarming to because that's how I see it too, you know, and so we're just adjusting to that. Are we gonna be a band that you know, buys a van and just lives on the road most of the year, like a lot of our friends. No, that's not going to happen. Um, are we going to do, you know, little stints here and there, and then maybe some stuff longer as things evolve and change, and you know, maybe if we have, you know, if you know, as the fan base grows, yeah. Um, so it's just a matter of taking it one step at a time. I mean, I really appreciate you having us here, and this is an example of it. I mean, you found us, and a lot of people, you know, other people are finding us, and you know, if we're active on Instagram, we get 2 to 3 followers an hour, and that's literally if we have a post and we're active on Instagram, that is the trend. Like I thought like I had no idea that would happen. So we're just gonna react to that and just enjoy it. You know, enjoy the process. But really, I want to record everything. I mean, as it is right now, um, th we have quite a bit of songs. I mean, art hasn't even we haven't even like touched on the amount of songs that I've written for this project over this time. I mean, I don't want to say a number because I don't want to be gauche, but it's a lot. And so like I slowly introduce stuff. And then also the other thing that takes time is I didn't plan on doing vocal duty. That I just took over a year, you know, it was a year and 4 or 5 months ago. So you know, it's a whole other layer to look at. And then right now where we're at, art is writing too, you know, and we're kind of, you know, it's more getting entangled, which is fantastic, you know, and it's just nice to function as an actual band. I mean, as much as I started this and I was doing it before art, like this is our band. Like we treat this as a band inside and out. You know, even though it's just 2 people, and I think that there is a shortage of that. Uh, and not that we're doing it purposely to um you know, to supplement that shortage, but it's kind of nice to be a part of almost like a rare breed, you know, of musicians.
I would definitely call you a rare breed of musicians. Well, first of all, it's two of you. You're doing a lot of work between both of you. And also your lyrics, they feel like really deep on a personal level, but they're still mysterious, in my opinion. How do you manage that? Does it come from the internal experience into the public facing narrative, or there's something else?
Uh that's I'll try to be as concise as possible, but I think you know what I'm calling it right now is abstract poetry. Like I said, I've been writing poet. I can just say I've been a poet for over 30 years. And I'm just going to say that because that is the benefits of getting old. I can own it and I can just call it as it is. So I've been a poet for over 30 years and I think when it comes to having that align with melodies, I feel that it's it, it- it's a different thing because when it right now like I'll write just words, definitely. But I would say 90% of the music is all to support a melody. So if I think of a melody, and usually when I think of a melody, I already have words attached to it. So it's very like you don't bow, you'll learn. I literally woke up and I wrote the entire song and one verse within 30 minutes. And it was literally just came out of me. I'm like engaged in pirates theory, addressing all concerns, engaged in pirates theory. You don't bow, you will learn, like, and that just came out of me. And um, and that's how it ends up doing. But I think that's just what happens, and I'm gonna ride it. I've been a creative long enough to know that sometimes you're hot and sometimes you're not. So I just ride it and ride that wave. But I call it abstract poetry because there's a lot of metaphors. There's a lot of uh, words that are very much to my inside culture. And when I
Mhm.
mean by my inside culture, I mean conversations. Um, you know, so like the way that speaking stops starts, it says pure wise and affront, right? And people are like, what the hell is that? That's just words. And I'm like, well, actually, when when somebody would be a smartass back in the day, we would say, oh, you think you're pure wise. Like that literally is a thing that we used to say. And then we used to be like, oh no, huh?
That was your thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Internal culture, right? And then we would say, like, oh, that person's just fronting. That's just a front that they put on. And so pure wise and a front. Like there literally is logic to everything. It's just not necessary. Like it almost needs some of it needs a what's the thing for a codex to pull apart.
Well, you also, and I guess this is Easter eggs for anyone who's going to
I know what he's
listen.
gonna say. I know what he's gonna
Like,
say.
um, I don't know the lyrics to my favorite songs. I get hooked on listening to the drums or like maybe the melody, bass guitar, but like I don't know lyrics to songs. And so sitting in the studio listening to him record stuff, you hear it a little bit more clearly, and then he'll explain it. And so I think like going back to the cinematic part and the horror movie vibes, I think you're quoting or taking little pieces from, it's almost like making pop art where someone will take like garbage and make it look like Marilyn Monroe or like whatever. And not that anything is garbage here, but he's taking like little bits and he's saying something personal using someone else's words or part of someone else's words or turning them around. And so like some of the movies are, I wouldn't say horror movies, but they're creepy, or have creepy undertones. And so I do think it kind of lends itself to being a little bit mysterious, a little bit personal, and also leans into like maybe some of the things you're hearing as far as like horror movie vibes or like kind of that like pop culture of horror movies of the 80s or 90s. I think is kind of in there too,
Yeah.
as a listener. Not that I wrote any of that, but it is interesting when you get the vocals isolated when you're in the studio. You just catch more things.
Yeah, I mean intravenous flow straight up is
Let's see
the
what
lyrics.
people guess. You gotta guess in the
Yeah,
comments.
well, yeah, I guess you can.
Come on.
Guess you can. I mean, honestly, you just have to read it. It's pretty much there. But yeah, like I like to mix feeling and experience. And a lot of times because I love movies or whatever, any pop culture in general, like it mixes in something of that, I mean, you don't bow, you'll learn, and I'll just call it out. I mean, it's about a pirate that shouldn't be a pirate. But who's my favorite pirate? It's the Dread Pirates Roberts. So that's Princess's Bride. So a lot of the song is actually has parts of Princess's Bride in the song, you know?
Mhm.
That's just kind of like interwoven in there, not necessarily direct lines, but almost like as a narrator to what is going on in the movie. There's a part where it says tortured in the pit of despair. That's literally where he gets tortured. And yeah, so yeah, a lot of that stuff fits his way in. And then I think that's what it is. It's experiences and how I can tell how like intravenous flow means follow your heart. There is no way on this planet, no way in my existence that I would ever write follow your heart in any type of lyric. That just sounds terrible. Okay. So
Yes.
I came up with intravenous flow as a way of cryptically saying follow your heart so you know what it means, but it doesn't sound cringy coming out of your mouth or reading it. But that's what it really is. And it deals with, it's intravenous, it's more visceral, and it's the idea, people say, oh, be your authentic self or easier said than done. Selfishness kindness isn't free. It takes you to be selfless to be kind, so it's not that easy. And I kind of put these things on Front Street. Again, another thing on Front Street. That's like something else that I would say that people don't really say very much as well. So yeah.
Based on everything you said, I can definitely see how you guys are artistic and creative in every way possible in terms of cryptic lyrics, putting together different pieces of movies, things other people said, different sounds. We don't have many artists like you guys. We don't. And I wanted to ask you that because you were talking a lot about horror movies perspectives and how your sound is given horror
Yeah.
movies. What would be the horror movie you would love to write the soundtrack for
Uh,
each of you?
I have an answer for that. If they
Mhm.
ever made another of the Living Dead, that would be it. 100%. I think yeah, like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, like I know George Romero's gone, but that would be amazing. Yeah.
Hmm. I'm going to disappoint you here. I don't really watch horror movies, so I
See?
don't have an answer.
I love this.
I watch them occasionally, but in general, yeah, don't remember the last one. Sinners, if that's a horror movie.
Yeah.
It
Yes,
is, but it's not like super scary.
But it's a musical technically.
Yeah,
doesn't
So
have to be scary.
yeah.
good movie, not that scary.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, we can go into horror movie. I mean, Hellraiser, huge Hellraiser fan. Like, I'd say Texas Chainsaw and Hellraiser are probably my two favorites. But, um, yeah, but realistically, like, I don't know, because I think like if you look at every of the Dead movie, it's very much spooky to the context of where it's at, and it kind of evolves. And even though John Carpenter is a huge influence on me, by the way, musically, if you ever get a chance to see John Carpenter live, do it. Just it's amazing from the scores they did for Starman to Halloween, of course, and Escape from New York. Like it's amazing, and just his solo stuff where he's just doing music is quite amazing. But I don't see necessarily the Owling in that because he's got that. He's got those movies. So I definitely see Of the Dead. But with yeah, yeah, just with the Owling in general, like um this is just a coincidence, but I like the way I write my guitar riffs and just the melodies, like I always think of how does this sound kind of creepy. Like I have that, which is very similar to how Black Sabbath started, where they saw the movie Black Sabbath and then
Mhm.
wanted to be like, okay, I want music that sounds like how this movie made me feel. That's how Black Sabbath started. And
Wow.
yeah, and and that's, but I didn't set out to do that. This is all things that just like, this is just me, like
Mhm.
this again, influence, and just natural inspiration per my life. But that's just where it's a happy coincidence. So we do get, we get a lot of people like when they first hear us, they're like, "Oh, that's very Sabbathy," like, "All right, cool." I'm like, "I'll take that." Black Sabbath is amazing.
Well said. That's a legendary comparison, of course. Um, have one last question for you. And what is the one creative boundary that you're most eager to break in the upcoming work?
Uh, I don't know. I don't know if I have one. If I had to pick one, it's being competent at playing double bass pedal, which I am not really yet. But I think I'm always the last couple of years, especially like just working on letting ideas come out like more spontaneously and quickly, and kind of I think before I probably in my career before this would have like disagreed with Cal and been like, we should play to a click. I'm gonna I want to put down a performance that is as good as possible with no limitations. Um, and so I think now it's like important to me to develop like the ability to play something that I really like spontaneously and not have to go back and revisit. So just yeah, letting ideas come out more naturally and faster, which is for me at least really hard. Maybe some people it's easier, but for me it's hard to like not analyze and let it just happen. So yeah.
Yeah, I really like where your head went because went musicianship wise, and that's where I go too. Like, because I'm a new vocalist. Like, I'm a baby, I think. I fought against singing, like taking on vocals my whole life. And mainly because, and I'll only mention this because there is the last known recording of my father talking is a track on the new EP. And my father passed away 15 years ago. And my father was probably one of the most celebrated Latin vocalists of all time. And his voice was so powerful and so big, and that I mean, even thinking about it now, I feel so small. Like I feel so small. Um, but the more that I get, confident in it, and the more that I train, because I'm constantly training through, different methods, even had a vocal coach at the beginning and things like that. Like the more that is probably the biggest thing in regards to pushing my boundaries. And you'll hear it on intravenous flow, you hear it on like it's different than what is on bow, in the sense of, yeah, like it took us to record it, and I listened back and I'm like, these songs are ballads. like I didn't realize it, but these songs are ballads. And I think more, not necessarily more pushing to do ballads, but just being a a bigger singer and allowing myself to be a bigger vocalist, I think is just that's the biggest thing. And I feel good, really good with my progress, and I think that I'm able to pull off the owling just enough, but I am just in my wheelhouse. And I would love to expand upon that even further. Um, and yeah, and I'm not scared to say that because that's where it is, and that's my path. It's beautiful to be able to, to own our accomplishments and our progress as well. And yeah, I've been a guitarist for, longer than a lot of people I hang out with have been alive. Uh, and I think I do something that's not necessarily, the most idealistic best, but um, I have something that I think a lot of people don't have, which I have a style, and I have something that you can hear and and kind of like, I mean, how many people do you hear play Smells Like Teen Spirit? You would say, oh, that's four chords in the beginning, but it doesn't really sound like Kurt playing Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's even though it's just four chords, you look at it, you look at the music, it's like there's not many people that can sound like him playing it, even though it's simple. And that's the thing that I'll own. I wanna get to that place vocally.
Uh-huh. To have your own unique style that no one can replicate.
I guess so. I mean, like my biggest influence is Mike Patton. It always has been, maybe Freddie Mercury and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't. I mean, I can dream. I don't know if I'll ever like um get anywhere near that, but it's nice to it's nice to have my own version of that, and I want to keep on elaborating on that. So something really exciting that's happening is we have a music video coming out on April 17th, and I I'm very proud of this, specifically because it's the same thing like the music. I get to see some of my most beautiful, talented friends put out music videos all the time, and they're super polished and some good stuff, man. And just using the best gear and just like it's just right. Um, that's an approach, and we might do that approach for another video, but for this one, in more ways than one, I'll tell you, it's like a time capsule. It
Mhm.
is it is a music video that, again, like you mentioned with our music, that you haven't seen in a long time. It really is. And um we live in Hollywood. I was raised around the entertainment industry in some way or another. So I always tell people you give yourself no choice but to be a creative for a living, and do creative things. You get old, eventually you know a lot of people, right? And it happens to be a case for this. So the person that directed it is actually somebody who wrote one of my favorite movies from the 90s, Spun, which is with Brittany Murphy and Mickey Rourke. His name is Will De Los Santos. So
Mhm.
he wrote that movie, and he's been kind of making a comeback, pretty strong comeback. Right now he's got a couple projects going on, and let this be one of the first times people hear that you guys are in for something special, and what he's going to make. It's just extraordinary. And our video is included in that. So that comes out on April 17th, and it is for the song, it's actually for the first song on Bow. It's for Speaking Stops.
I saw the clip of the video. It's definitely something I haven't seen in a long time.
I talked to him today, and he's like, you can show them a piece of the rough cut. I'm like, okay. So that's why I sent it to you.
I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I know nobody has seen it before.
I haven't even seen it.
I have.
There you go.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, hey,
And then
um,
yeah, and just follow us on all the stuff on Instagram. On it really makes a difference to add us to Spotify and Apple Music. It's fantastic now. The default of, I think, both Spotify and Apple Music is bands in town, and I think that's where we have the most following, which is great, instead of like Songkick or another one. So that's where you keep track of shows. You could see the shows within the apps too, which is fantastic. It really helps. And yeah, I mean, come see us live. Enjoy, we try to make some cool merch. Uh, not just things that are, touristy throwaway items, but we're very intentional with the merch that we make as well. And, something that you would actually enjoy, from now we have like premium hoodies to hand screen prints of the album, and yeah, some good stuff. Even considering making a tape cassette of the new EP. So
Oh,
I
wow.
I've been looking into that in the last week because that might be the route to take. We'll see.
I think it would be. Well, thank you so much, and thanks for joining the Velvet Noir magazine today.
Thanks for having us.